All right, everybody. Hello. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Welcome to our live stream. Let me know if you can hear my voice coming through loud and clear. Thanks for joining, everybody. If you enjoyed that music is from one of our very own patrons and subscribers and viewers, Ronald Griffin. I have linked that track in the description box, so please go check him out. Support his channel. Ronald, great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you for letting me use your song. I appreciate it. A little bit more housekeeping before we begin. Let's see. Uh-oh, I went out of order here. Hold on. Why don't we just jump the gun? Boom, slap that there. Want to give a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you all for your support and continued support of the channel. I've been getting demonetized a lot lately, so your support actually really helps a lot. I appreciate it. If you're interested in becoming a patron, go to the link there on your screen, and it should be in the description box as well. So we've done that housekeeping. I won't jump the gun on our content just yet. Just want to welcome you all. Thanks for joining. Tonight's topic is going to be all about this new phrase that has come out in like the last week or two. Okay, boomer. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight. I just wanted to comment from the last live stream because I know you guys must think I'm insane, but our trash people come around pretty late. We have this trash service at my complex. And so when I heard the trash man coming, I was like, oh, hold on, let me put my trash out. When I came back to the chat, everyone was talking about trash men. And I'm like, who is the trash man? Who are the trash people? And I was so confused in the moment. When I played it back, I was like, girl, you've got to get your life together. They were responding to what you just did. So I know who the trash man is now. Okay. I didn't want y'all to think I was completely insane. Partially maybe, but not completely. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there. I also want to say thank you to everyone who did a super chat or a super sticker last live stream that I did not acknowledge. I do apologize. I don't always see them. So just know that if I ever don't specifically acknowledge your super chat, I do see them later, and I'm very, very appreciative for them. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this comment off the screen. Let's go ahead and get started into our content today, y'all. So how many of you have heard this phrase come up in recent past, like past 1 or 2 weeks? This phrase, okay, boomer. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Ronald. And thank you for letting me use your music. I'll be combing through later to see what else we can maybe use in a future live stream. Let's talk okay, boomer. So I've mentioned many times on the channel before that I wanted to get into a conversation about the generations, but every time I start, I get stuck because there's so much to say. There's so much to know. There's a lot of history that really needs to be explored before someone can just come out and really speak intelligently regarding the generations, especially if you're not a part of every generation, and you won't be. You're only a part of the generation you were born into, in theory and technically. So I never wanted to come out and speak from an uneducated place, but I feel like now is a good time for us to at least start having this conversation, especially considering this phrase has now joined the public lexicon. And where I'm wrong, I'll be wrong and I'll do my research, but where I'm right, I'll be right. And we'll just take it from there, because if I keep waiting on me to feel like I finally have enough information to speak, I'll never do it. It'll be 10 years from now. So with that said, any historical inaccuracies, please feel free to correct in the chat. If you are of a different generation and you want to give your perspective, please do. Because like I said before, we're not all part of the same generation. So we benefit heavily from the perspective of each other. I am a millennial. I was born in 1982. I'm 36, getting ready to turn 37 very soon. So that's where I am. Now, depending on who you ask, some people would say I fall in Generation X. Other people, oh, yeah, no, that's the only one that it piggybacks. So some people try to put us in X. Some people call us Generation Y. And as you can see on the chart here on the screen, there's also another name for the millennials called the Echo Boomers. And we'll get into that in a little bit. This chart was actually the chart I intended on using on the second Corporate Cults review, but that's the day that my OBS went down, and it's still down, by the way, but they are working on a fix. But I think you guys like this one. You all seem to like this format a little bit better because I can put the comments up. So I don't know, give me your thoughts and feedback on that, and we'll decide what to do because I'm kind of becoming used to this one. Anyway, so I am an official millennial, okay? But I'm a millennial that's right on the front end of the millennial generation. So my group, 82, 83, you could even maybe say 81, but like 82 through 84, I would say, have a different perspective than people born 84 onward, but we're all still millennials. But part of that different perspective comes from the fact that a lot of us were exposed to traditionalists, and we were also exposed to the baby boomers. Most of our parents are baby boomers. Most of them, the majority of them, I would estimate are baby boomers. You might have a few one-off traditionalists, a few one-off Gen X. For the millennials, I could see that happening, a little teenage pregnancy here and there, or a little late in life pregnancy here and there. But by and large, our parents are boomers, okay? And the generation that comes after us, that they're calling iGen, some people call them Generation Z, their grandparents are boomers, okay? So we're all just setting this up. I'm setting all of this up for context, all right? So we're getting ready. We're getting ready to watch this video by the Young Turks. I thought it was really good. No offense to the Young Turks, but a lot of their content, I feel like it's not very well done. And this is coming from someone who only has 67,000 subscribers. They have 4.5 million. So my opinion matters very little regarding their content style and structure. Maybe I should take after them, and my channel would grow. But I say that to say that I'm not like a TYT fangirl. Like, I watch their videos occasionally when they come out. I usually only watch a few minutes because I just don't find the content very stimulating. However, this video is very good, and it's worth watching. So here's how we're going to go through this conversation. I'm going to play a little bit of the video. I'll pause it and give my commentary. I know a lot of people hate that, but understand that when we play these videos all the way through, we are eligible for copyright strikes because I did not get permission from TYT to use this video. However, one of the ways that you can kind of work around that is just by pausing it, giving commentary, chopping it up, things like that. That's why YouTubers do that. We know that it's annoying. It annoys us when we watch videos, but we have to do it to avoid the copyright strikes because we would like to keep our channels up for you guys. So do forgive the pausing, but you're more than welcome to go back and play it for yourself at a later date. The link is in the description box. So we're just going to play and pause and kind of chat through. When we're done having our conversation, I'll go into after show and then we'll wrap up. Not sure how long we'll be here, but does that ever really matter? I don't think so. All right, so why don't we go through and we're going to play this video and talk through it. Here we go.
Recently, one of our viewers asked us to cover the OK Boomer meme. And so, of course, we're going to give our people what they want and talk about it. So what is it? Why is it trending? Well, as we all know, things don't really become a thing until the New York Times acknowledges it.
I don't know if you guys saw, let me see if I can. Yes, I can. So look at the headlines that they're showing as she's opening up the segment. Millennials are killing department stores. Are millennials killing the vacation? And I think the other one said, are millennials killing marriage? So there's all this analysis about what millennials are destroying. Oh, millennials are destroying the housing market. Millennials are destroying the marriage market. Millennials are destroying this and millennials are destroying that. Okay. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let me just keep my notes because I'm going to do like a big rant at the end. Okay. So just take note of those titles that are playing.
Recently, one of our viewers asked us to cover the okay, don't really become a thing until the New York Times acknowledges it. I'm being sarcastic there, but the New York Times recently wrote a piece called Okay Boomer marks the end of friendly generational relations. Now, I don't know where the New York Times has been because I don't think there have been friendly generational relationships at all or relations.
I couldn't agree with her more. I'm not sure why they think Okay Boomer is now marking the collapse of the relationship between the two generations, because I've been observing it at least since 2011. And that's just when I started noticing it. So that's what, the past 8 years, I've noticed this tension and contention between the generations. So I agree with her point there.
But the piece says the following: Okay Boomer has become Generation Z's endlessly repeated retort to the problem of older people who just don't get it. A rallying cry for millions of fed-up kids. Teenagers use it to reply to cringy YouTube videos, Donald Trump tweets, and basically any person over 30 who says something condescending about young people and the issues that matter to them.
Pausing that there. Okay. So y'all don't be mad at me, but I think Okay Boomer is so funny that every time I see it or hear it, I start laughing hysterically. It's so funny to me because it really just summarizes how we feel. Like, we are so tired of getting beat up on. We're so tired of it. We're so tired of getting studied like a science project. We're tired of trying to explain how we feel, where we're coming from. We're tired of that. We're exhausted by that. We're shocked that you don't see it. We're shocked that you don't understand, or that you're refusing to understand. So I'll say this. Thank you for the super chat, Ronald. It actually gives me a good segue. I don't want you guys to feel like I'm beating up on boomers. I am going to put a lot of responsibility on boomers, but I am not 100% beating up on them. And do know that a video dedicated to the millennials, or a live stream, will come out shortly after this, maybe in a week or two, who knows. So know that that's coming, but don't let that be like, okay, I'm good. She's going to get on the millennials, so then I'm fine. No, I want you to hear everything that we're saying. When I first started my YouTube channel, one of the people who inspired me at the time, and I make that distinction on purpose, was Ollie Matthews. Now, Ollie has recently gone off the deep end. I don't know where Ollie went. I don't know what happened to Ollie. Ollie's gone. We lost Ollie, okay? But back in the day, Ollie was on it. And one of his favorite topics is narcissism and baby boomers. That is one of his favorite subjects. And it's one of the things that really got my wheels spinning when I first started this channel. And the videos I just started vomiting videos because I had so many thoughts and so many different things to say. So I paused it here because I want to analyze this sentence. Teenagers use it to reply to cringy YouTube videos, Donald Trump tweets, and basically any person over 30 who says something condescending about young people and the issues that matter to them. Okay. And that's really where Okay Boomer comes from. It's this condescension to young people, this attitude of, what's wrong with you? I did it. What's wrong with you? Oh, you just don't want to work hard. What's wrong with you? And the thing is, we are your kids. We are your children. We are your children. We didn't beam in from another universe. All right. You didn't find us in the middle of the ocean and rescue us and bring us in as some new species that you're trying to figure out how they operate and how they move and how they work. We are your children. So how is it that you have come to not understand your children to such an extent? How did that happen? So we'll get to that some more. But I say all that to say this condescension is why people say baby boomers are the most narcissistic generation of all time, or at least so far. And if that is a true statement, wouldn't it make sense then that their children are absolute nightmares? If the baby boomers were the original narcs, wouldn't their children be the demon spawn, narcissistic baby boomers spawned out narcissist baby children? Doesn't that make sense? Let's continue.
So a really good way to help you visualize this is the next video that we're about to show you. Take a look.
The millennials and Generation Z have the Peter Pan syndrome. They don't ever want to grow up. They think that the utopian ideals that they have in their youth are somehow going to translate into adulthood, and that somehow they're going to create this utopian society in which everything is equal, in which the government takes care of everything. Well, guess what? One of these days, just like the baby boomer generation, the generation before us, the baby busters who came after us, you're going to mature and you're going to realize nothing's free, that things aren't equal, and that your utopian society you created in your mind in your youth simply is not sustainable. It's just a reality. You can't escape it. You can't fight it. Hell, even the hippies came to realize their society was not sustainable. So just realize what you're creating in your mind isn't sustainable.
I love that video so much.
Me too, Anna. So I have to laugh. Okay, that guy is the epitome of okay boomer. He is the spokesperson, the champion, the ambassador. He is it. He is exactly what we're talking about. It's oh God, I'm getting worked up. I feel it. No, go back down. Go back down. It's not time yet. Go down. One thing I can't stand about narcissists, okay, is that one, they think they know everything. They have all the answers wrapped up into a perfect little package. They're generally not willing to discuss the ideas that they're putting forward. They accept them as gospel. They accept them as gold. They refuse to be challenged on any ideas that they're proposing. If they propped up something in the past and it worked once, they assume that it works always and that it never changes and that no tweaks or fixes or innovations ever need to be made. If it worked once, it'll work forever. Okay? And when I heard that guy talking, that's the general attitude I'm getting. He just does not understand how much society has changed. And what's odd is we've all been living in the same place. So when computers were coming out, we were children, the millennials were children or young teenagers, but you were adults. So you should have been the first ones to buy them, the first ones on the internet, the first ones with smartphones, the first everything, because you were older than us. But for whatever reason, like this massive disconnect happened, and the millennials latched on to the technology the boomers and the retiring traditionalists were building. And now that we've designed a society around the very technology that you started, somehow you just don't understand us at all. You don't get it. The inability to do math, the inability to do logistics, social logistics, spatial logistics. I just, oh my God, I don't get it. We don't get it. On behalf of the millennials, we don't get it. You all claim not to understand us, but we're willing to actually sit here and explain it to you. You won't explain your positions to us, and most narcissists can't. And the reason most narcissists cannot explain their position to you is because it has no backing. It's not rooted in logic. It's not rooted in common sense or good sense or intelligence. It's just rooted usually in ego and control. That's usually where narcissist positioning comes from. Ego, control, ignorance. That's usually where their positions come from. And they are so firm in them. And that's what makes them so insufferable, because you can't talk to them like human beings. So since we can't talk to you like human beings, we have summarized all our thoughts into one phrase, one statement. Okay, boomer. Let's get into a little bit more of what he was saying, though, because the video is kind of long and I don't want to get too far away from this point. So let's break down some of these tropes this guy put forward. He said that your utopian ideals, okay? So a utopia, as we know, is a society where everything is basically perfect, right? And he's basically saying your utopian ideals are not realistic. Here's the shortcoming with that proposition. They may not be realistic, but aren't they desirable? Don't you want to live in a nicer society? We may not reach 100%, but if we reach 91, wouldn't that be an improvement over like 48%? If we're operating at 48% capacity right now, and we could reach 91 just by aiming for utopian ideals, wouldn't that be better than where we are right now? Instead, it's almost like they want to keep it in like this odd industrial revolution type horse and pony. They don't want to see anything improve. And I don't understand that. As a human being, I don't understand how you don't want to see things improve. You don't think there's anything else? You don't think there's anything else other than this? You think you've reached it. You've achieved the peak. This is it. So what? Now you're just waiting to what? Die? You don't see anything that could be improved upon in your local community, in your state, in the country. Nothing that could be just a little bit better, that could flow a little bit better. You don't have anything that happened to you in your life that you wish had been different, that you wish would happen differently for your children and grandchildren. Nothing. So you're cool with things as is pretty much forever here on out. This is why we're trying to vote you guys out of office. This is why. Because we recognize that there is more work to be done. You all are always talking to us about how much we don't want to work, but outside looking in, it looks like you guys are the ones who don't want to work. You don't want to learn anything new. You don't want to try something different. You don't want to innovate. You don't want to change. You're the one who doesn't want to work. We're pushing so hard to build the society you claim to have wanted when you wrote up your Declaration of Independence. This is what you said you wanted. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we're trying to do. That's utopian. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are utopian ideals, okay? Not partial life, partial freedom, and slogging through misery until you die, which is where we are right now. The utopian ideals were life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So you're telling us now that basically the principles the whole country was founded on are utopian and not obtainable. Well, if that's the case, that explains a lot, doesn't it? Maybe it's not obtainable. Maybe he's right. Maybe there is no such thing as a utopia. But if that's the case, then we need to restructure some things, and we need to stop lying to people, and we need to stop marketing our country as this place where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are what we're all about, because we're clearly not. We're clearly all about just getting by. So then he moves on to say, you just want the government to take care of everything. No, we want the people who are in control of the resources and the people who are in control of the policies that affect people's lives to make the best decisions in regard to the people who they serve. The government serves the people. The people do not serve the government. What we currently have is a situation where the government is trying to make the people serve them. That is not how it works. The government is in place to serve the people. And my question to any government would be, why do you want your people destitute? Why would you want that? Why do you want your people ignorant and uneducated? Why would you want that? Some people will say, oh, they want a dumb populace, so they'll always have employees. But guess what? Even McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell are having trouble hiring people now because we have so disregarded education and pushed it to the bottom of the pile in favor of money that we've actually mass produced a population that is by and large ignorant. So now you have people who can't even work the most menial of tasks because they don't have the mental capacity to do so. How does that benefit you? Also, when you don't take care of your people on the front end, you're going to end up taking care of them on the back end anyway. This is what you do. You are a government. Your job is to make sure your citizens are okay. What type of king would run a kingdom, or what type of queen would run a queendom? that had all its citizens broke down and impoverished, I would be looking at the king or queen like, you're sorry as hell. You're sorry. You need to get out of this. This is not your thing. You're not good at this. Look at your people. They're struggling. They're suffering. They're hungry. They're broke. Half of them can't afford housing. You suck as a community leader. You got to go. Okay. And the main reason we put all this onus on the government is because the government is the one who's in control of the resources. The resources are on lock. If the resources weren't on lock, we might be having a different conversation. But the government, by and large, is in control of the resources that affect the people. So no, we don't want a handout. However, you have the resources to make it easier for people. Why not do that? Don't you want to be number one, you competitive, psychotic bastards? Don't you want to be number one? This is how you become number one. I can't do it. Going on down to his next point, nothing is free. Okay, Boomer, we know that. We know that nothing is free. But like I've explained before, and I'll explain it again, a human being is born. We'll just make it America. A human being is born in America, right? From 0 to age 16, they can literally, I won't say they can, let me put it to you this way. From 0 to 16, there's nothing they can do to support themselves financially. Yes, they can get a babysitting job. Yes, they can get a paper route if those even exist anymore. Yes, they can go wash cars and cut lawns. But is that enough to really prop yourself up when you turn 18 to go get your own apartment, get your own car, pay all of your utilities, pay all of your food, pay for your clothing, pay for any education you're going to get outside of high school, be that trade school, college, or what have you? Is that enough money to really prop yourself up? No, it's not. So then you take your little job at 16, your part-time job, because you're still in school. Okay, still not making enough money to prop yourself up. All right. Then you graduate and everyone goes their separate ways. Some people will go straight into the workforce, which now in 2019, I would highly recommend that. Go into the workforce, work for 5 years, start making some money, get some career experience. Then if you want to take that career experience and go to college, do it. You'll only be like 23 or 24. You're super young. You'll finish before you're 30 and you're fine. And if you want to go back and get a master's, you can do that before you're 30 also. But jumping right in after high school is a horrible economic decision right now. Until they fix our structure of our society, it's a horrific economic decision if you don't come from money. And the majority of us do not come from money. Okay. So some people will go straight into the workforce. Others will go straight into college, which I actually think is the worst thing that you could do right now. Others will go into trade school. That would be my number 2 selection. So I would either go straight into the workforce. I would send you straight into a trade school, or option 3, which is college, whatever. My point is everyone goes on their different path. It's going to take a couple of years for you to prop yourself up, for you to prop yourself up with credit. Okay. They'll give you a credit card. And if they do, I don't recommend credit, but the way our system is set up, if you don't have any credit history, it's just as bad as having bad credit history, because this is such a fair, equal, and balanced country that we live in, that if you've never had a credit card before, it's the same as if you've had 10 and messed them all up. So you got to get your little credit going. So you have to establish your credit, right? Then you've got to build up some cash. Where is this cash injection going to come from? If you graduate from high school and go straight into college, trade school, or go straight into work, where is your cash injection going to come from? Okay. So you do that. Now we're at about age 24 or 25. Okay. Now you have to have the opportunity to start making money, but you still don't have a nest egg. You won't have a nest egg until you're probably in your 30s. A lot of you won't have a nest egg until you're in your 40s. So what is my point? We know that nothing is free, Boomer. We know that, but we need money our whole life. We need money from the day that we're born. And until we're 16 years old, we legally can't get that money that we need to survive. And even if you had someone who was like, you know what, I'm just going to hustle from sun up to sundown. I'm going to go to high school. As soon as school lets out, I'm going straight to my part-time job, hustle and save, hustle and save, hustle and save. They might be able to save up like $2,000 or $3,000. And that's working hard at a part-time job. hard. Like I would do some math on the fly, but I'm not going to. You're going to be working forever to try to save up that little $2,000 or $3,000. It's going to get gobbled up immediately as soon as you start paying your own bills. So it's not that we want free things. It's that we want you to understand that we don't have all this money sitting in our retirement accounts yet. And you guys, the ones who are in control, keep raising the prices on everything and making it almost impossible to afford, especially college. That's why I said put it number 3. Make it your third option. But you've made college. I watched a video earlier today. It was saying college back in the day was $2,500 for the whole, I don't want to misquote. I want to say year. Don't misquote me, but I want to say it was $2,500 for the whole year. Now it's like $10,000 for the year, right? And if you don't have parents that can pay for that, you're going to be taking out student loans. So now we've compounded the issue. Now we have this hardworking person who believes in the American dream, who's doing it the way you say do it, boomer, and their parents don't have the money. They now have to take out student loans to afford that school that you say that they need to go to because they need to work hard. So now when they finally graduate from college, they've got a nice hefty $50,000 to $100,000 student loan bill on their back that they have to start paying back. And they never had a nest egg to begin with. They never had a cushion to begin with. So some of you ignorant boomers will say, well, that's their parents' job. But here's the thing. It's not the child's fault that the parents didn't do their job. It's not. And it never will be. Yes, hopefully parents are planning ahead and planning for the future, but a lot of parents simply cut their kids off at age 18 and tell them good luck. Okay? So it's not the child's fault the parent didn't plan ahead. So now the child has to scramble around age 18 to 21 to figure out how they're going to support themselves into the future. So we don't want to hear your lectures. We don't. I take so much offense and so much umbrage when I hear people say, as we're going to hear in this video, that millennials are entitled. We don't want to work hard. That is such bullshit. I can't even begin to explain it to you. It's not true. I don't know one lazy person. I don't know one lazy person. Most of the millennials I know are not only working a full-time job, they have at least one part-time job. Hustling, okay? We don't go out, we don't hang out, we don't party, we don't do anything because we are trying to set ourselves up. We'll probably get there around age 55 or 60. You got there around age 45 because the world was set up in your favor at the time. And now that you still have that benefit going for you, you don't want to share it with anyone else. And we hate you for that. Do you get that? We despise you for that. We have so much resentment towards you for that. So much resentment. Stop lecturing us. All right. Then he goes on to say things are not equal. Yeah, because of people like you. Yeah, they're not equal because of people like you. What makes you think one human being deserves more life than another human being? Because of who they are or what they are. You know what I mean? Don't all human beings deserve like a baseline level of life? Since you all are so freaking pro-life, since you want to bring every human soul here, then don't you feel like those human souls are deserving of a baseline level of life? A baseline? You know what I mean? Because maybe from that baseline, they can launch themselves, even if their parents were no good. They can launch themselves because they had a nice baseline. But you guys are basically telling people you need to have your act together before you even come out of the womb. And if you don't have your act together before you come out of the womb, that's your fault. And that, once again, is why we hate you guys. We can't stand you. I'll close on this one for this particular part. He said it's also not sustainable. Okay, asshole. Who made it not sustainable? Who had all these children? So y'all are the boomers. So apparently y'all are the biggest group. And I think the second biggest group comes after us, after the millennials. Don't quote me. If someone is so inclined to look that up, that would be amazing. But I think the boomers are the biggest generation. And then the second largest is actually iGen, the one after us. My question remains, who had all these kids? If you knew it wasn't sustainable, and you knew that this could not continue to go into the future, why did you pump out all these children? Why? Why? Just to watch them suffer? Just so you could have somebody to watch struggle? Is that why? Just so you could have someone that you could always feel like you're better than? Like, oh, come on, son, what's wrong with you? I had it figured out by age 21. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, daughter? I had it figured out by age 25. By age 25, I had a career and a home, and I was married with 3 kids. What's your problem? Do y'all realize that we want to actually get physical with you, that we want to lay hands on you when y'all start up with this conversation? We do, because you're just so ignorant and so blind to what's actually taking place. And that's why we don't talk to you. So for any boomers listening whose kids don't really talk to them anymore, this is why. Because we know you're not going to understand, you don't care to understand, and you don't want to understand. And so eventually we just stop trying. And those are the facts. Let's keep moving in this video.
Because
I'll back it up a little bit so y'all know where we were.
Just realize what you're creating in your mind isn't sustainable.
I love that video so much, because while, Glenn Beck's doppelganger is going on this rant about how we all need to be realistic about how unfair society is, keep in mind that it was his generation that lied to us, right? About, oh, if you just work hard enough, if you're willing to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, you can become a millionaire, a billionaire, you could do this, you could do that. I mean, they're the ones who fed us all this garbage about the American dream, right?
Absolutely. And let's talk about 2 points really quick: the work hard and the bootstraps, right? So I learned something about bootstraps. And I think I heard this on Secular Talk. I don't remember though, so don't quote me. But I learned that you actually cannot pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's physically impossible because you're in them. So if you're in your boots and you grab your bootstraps and try to lift them up, you're going to be completely unsuccessful because you're in them. So apparently the origin of that phrase was intended to mean exactly that it was an impossible act. So when you tell someone, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, you're actually telling them to do something that's actually not possible. You see? So that phrase has been misused to mean, oh, pick yourself up, with your own strength and push forward and keep going. That's actually, that phrase is being used incorrectly. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys. You can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps because you are in them. And you really can't pick yourself up either. You pick yourself up off the ground, but other than that, unless you can levitate, you can't lift yourself up. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this working hard thing really quick. We hear this all the time, and it's slowly, and I think officially becoming a cliche that I hate. Hard work pays off. Hard work. Just got to work hard. Hard work. 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 Polly want a cracker? Hard work. Hard work. Listen, I'm so sick of hearing that, because what I've come to understand that people are meaning by that is complete self-sacrifice. Okay? Why are we working hard still when we have all this technology? When are we ever going to actually work smart? Is that something we're ever going to try to do? Like, do you guys want your life at all? Like, are you interested in your life at all? At what point do we cut out the waste and create jobs that actually make sense so people don't have to sacrifice their whole entire life for employment? Or is employment life, according to you narky boomers, that work is all there is? Work is life. So what do you mean you want a life outside of work? There is no life outside of work. Work is life. Yeah, we don't want that. We want to earn our money. We want to contribute. We want to earn our keep, but we do not want to sacrifice our whole life and sell our soul for work. And if that's what you mean by work hard, then no, we don't want to work hard. We want to work smart. We want to use the tools that you guys created, and now we're just maintaining because you propped it up. You propped up the internet. You ran all the wires and the cabling for the internet. You did that. You started it with the telephone companies. Then the telephone companies graduated and they started innovating and they started creating dial-up and modems. You installed the modems in our house. We were babies. Some of us were babies, some of us were preteens, and some of us were teenagers. You put this stuff in our house. You put televisions in every single room in our house. We didn't do that. You did that. Okay? So with all these iterations of technology, certain things no longer need to be done in a certain way. So why can't we innovate and give ourselves more of our life back? Why do we have to sacrifice the exact same amount of life that you did? Why do you feel like that's the only way? I don't know which person it is. It was either Steve Jobs. I think it was Steve Jobs, actually, who said that he likes to hire lazy people. And they said, or they asked him, why do you like to hire lazy people? He said, because they're going to find the most innovative shortcut to get the job done. And I was like, you're damn straight. Who is going to take the long road when there's a short road that will produce the exact same results? If the short road is not going to produce the same results, don't take it. Some things in life have to be gone about the long way, and that's just all there is to it. But if there's a short way that gets you to the exact same location, why wouldn't you take it? I don't get it. I don't fully understand. Autopilot, just like a narcissist, is on autopilot. You see a new way, a new path. It's better. It's more efficient. It'll save you time and money, but you're on autopilot. So you're going to keep doing it the way you've always been doing it, because God forbid the day changes on you. You need to have the same day every day for 50 years. We're not doing that. Your children decided that we're not doing that because guess what? We grew up with you guys. So we got to experience never seeing you really. We got to experience your real life being at work and us being like secondary. So we don't want that. We want to be involved in our kids' lives if we ever have them, if we can ever afford to have them, which I don't think a lot of us will be able to afford to. And in 20 years, the conversation and all the documentary specials with the slow panning cameras will be to all the aged millennials who never had kids, men and women. And people will be interviewing us, will be 55 or 60 years old. And people will be interviewing us, asking us why we never had them. And a lot of people will tell you, oh, we wanted to. We deeply desired to have children, but the prospects for the future were so grim that it seemed cruel and unusual to bring a child into a world where we know financially they probably won't make it unless we're rich. So a lot of millennials are just trying to make themselves financially comfortable enough to even support a child, because we know that if we as the parents don't have the money, the children don't have the money either. And it just perpetuates the cycle. Now we send another group of kids out into the world just trying to get their footing because their parents didn't have their footing. So a lot of millennials have chosen what I consider to be one of the kindest sacrifices ever, which is to not reproduce, because we know that we can't support those kids because we can barely support ourselves, and we're working hard and we can barely do it. So we're not going to put another generation through that until things change. And that is on period.
Right? And I call it garbage because we all know what the reality is. Like, we have record inequality in America today. And it's partly because of the type of tax policies, the type of economic policies that older generations passed, you know? And so, like, take some responsibility for how you guys have created this mess. And when I say you guys, I don't mean all boomers. And by the way, boomer is really thought of as like a mentality here. It's not necessarily in regard to the specific generation. But just like think about how destructive those policies have been for the economy overall, but especially for the economic opportunities for younger generations.
Well, you make a great point, Anna. And
okay, so I just want to just be full transparency. This guy here gets me deep into my feelings and he ruffles my feathers. I cannot stand him. I never met him before this video. Now I've seen this video. I'm looking at him. He looks young, but I think this guy might be X. He might be an Xer, but he sounds like a boomer, and you will see what I mean.
I agree with you, but I do think, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of trouble for this in the comments. I don't care.
Of course you don't.
It's right though.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I'm all triggered.
Great point, Anna, and I agree with you. But I do think, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of trouble for this in the comments, I don't care. What he was saying is right, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of younger millennials and Gen Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a sense of entitlement for sure with this younger generation.
There's a sense of entitlement. Entitlement to what? They never answer that question. So the next time you're having this argument with a boomer or potentially an Xer, and they say, you guys are so entitled, ask them entitled to what? Entitled to what exactly? What do you think that we feel like we're entitled to? Housing, somewhere to live that doesn't cost $3,000 a month? You know, cars aren't really, I think cars have remained pretty steady. Like cars haven't seemed to change much, but a vehicle with a car payment that I can afford, and build my credit up while I'm paying off my car, not have to buy a lemon to get back and forth to the job that you require me to come to every day, even though it could be remote. A vehicle, entitled to what? Utilities that aren't an arm and a leg, water, electricity, things like that. Entitled to what? To money, to the same money that we've needed from the day that we were born. And now that we're 18 and out of our parents' house, or 21 and out of our parents' house, we don't want to take a borderline minimum wage job, especially when we just came out of college. And we were told that the college degree is the way and the truth and the light. And that if you get a college degree, all your problems will be solved and ended, and the doors will be flung open for you, and you'll get pay raises and all that, entitled to that. And I'm going to jump the gun. He's getting ready to give this ridiculous example of, I think he is, of people who just want to be the CEO the day they walk in the company. And that is just one of the most ridiculous, overcorrected examples that they pull out of their back pocket. It's ridiculous. It never happens. Okay. I talked on a couple live streams ago about companies doing proper proposals, right? And issuing a proper proposal to an employee that they want to work for them. And I still mean that, because here's the bottom line. This is your company. This is your idea. And without extra people, you can't make your idea happen. So you need extra people to make your idea happen. And you ideally want those extra people for a very long time to make your idea happen. So if you want people to commit to you, you have to show them that you're serious up front. Is it more of an upfront investment on the company's behalf to bring a person in, interview them, hire them, get them up to speed, put them on payroll? Yes. Yes, the company will always spend more money than the employee bringing them on board. But that is because why? It's your idea. This is your idea, honey. It wasn't their idea. You're the one who needs the help. They just need the money, and they can get money from anybody. So to keep them from going to get money from someone else, why don't you make it very convincing and very easy for them to want to come get the money from you? And get this, if they ever stop doing their part that you're giving them money for, you have the conversation, you fix what needs to be fixed, if it can be fixed. And if it can't, or they're just not willing to listen or learn, oh my God, you go find someone else who needs money and who's willing to help you. And that is the cycle, So when I bring up proposal, I don't want anyone to misconstrue that as, oh, here's just an entitled millennial who just wants the world thrown at her feet and then she'll give some effort. No, I need you to understand the dynamics of the relationship. Why would I invest more in your company initially than you do? That makes no sense. That makes no sense for me to ask more from you than I'm willing to give to you. And it's my company, it's my idea. So anyway, let's continue with this. I just call him green shirt because I don't know what else to call him.
A lot of younger millennials and Gen Z, right? And there is a sense of entitlement for sure with this younger generation than there was for generation. What was the generation before millennial? Y, right? X. I can X.
You don't even know.
My alphabet's off today. And it's because growing up, I was told that yes, you do go out and work hard. You do. Nothing's going to be handed to you. You go to college. If you want anything in life, you got to go out and earn it. Whereas what I'm seeing now when I interact with Gen Z and millennials, young millennials, and Gen Z, it's not even that. There's a sense of, well, I should be given this just because I'm showing up. Oh.
Wrong. So once again, there's the cliche tropes we've all heard: work hard, get a degree, blah 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 blah. We've heard all that. Here's the issue: it's no longer true. It's no longer true. That's what we're trying to explain to you guys. Our world has changed dramatically in like the last 20 years. And really, if we really wanted to get down to the nuts and the bolts, the last 10 years, the world has changed dramatically, largely due to technology. Largely due to technology. The world has changed. What's important to us has changed. What we need now has changed. There's way more people now. So lots of things have changed, and they're holding on to an attitude that was only true for a brief moment in time. It has changed now. So the attitude they feel like is coming from the millennials is they're bumping up against the millennials, trying to explain to them that this is no longer the same world. It's not. And a message to my millennials listening: 20 years from now, please don't be the boomers. Don't be the new boomers, like the new echo boomers. You know what I mean? Even though it's probably already too late, especially based on the video I'm going to do coming up regarding the millennials. But don't be that. Understand that if we're here now, imagine where we'll be in 20 years. In 20 years, your kids might be looking at you going, "Mom, nobody works anymore." We'll be like, "What? Well, you have to have some kind of a job, right?" I'm like, "No, Mom, that is so ancient. Nobody works anymore." I'm like, "Well, how do you make money?" And then it'll be some fancy, some kind of designed system that they've come up with that works. And we'll be the ones going, "Well, you got to have money. You need a debit card. You got to have a debit card. You got to have a credit card. Where's your credit card? Are you going to build your credit up?" Like, don't be those people. You have to leave your mind open to understand what's going on around you at all times. Here's what I would recommend. This will be really good and really healthy for some of you. Go explore the comment boards of spaces you would never, ever, ever go. Ever. So I can't think of any good cross comparisons right now. But if you're a boomer, why don't you go to a millennial comment board and just start combing through the comments to see what's important to them now, and vice versa. Millennials, figure out where the boomers go hang out and go comb through their comments and get that thought process, because this is the only way we'll ever start to understand each other, you see. And it's also how you keep current on the zeitgeist of society. What's current? What's going on right now? What's new? You have to stay up. You can't watch one news channel all day long and think that you're informed. You're not.
Or I can do the bare minimum and still be hyper successful.
I don't know who he's hanging around with, but and maybe that's just me, because I'm the type of person, I don't like people who are lazy like that. So maybe I just don't have lazy people like that in my circle, because I wouldn't be able to stomach it. But I don't know everybody in the world, but I've met quite a few people. I don't know anyone like this who's like, I'm just going to show up and do bare minimum and hopefully get paid. I don't know anyone like that. Most of the people I know, if they end up with a job where they don't have to do very much, they end up quitting shortly thereafter. And the reason is because nobody wants to waste their time, even for money. Most people don't enjoy just having to go somewhere and do nothing and be paid for it. They'd rather get paid nothing and stay home than be made to show up and do absolutely nothing or engage in fake work all day. They'll quit. They would rather do manual labor than go to an office and basically pretend to work all day long. Nobody likes that. So I don't know who you've been hanging out with.
And I see that daily. Yeah. So yeah, while not all—
Give us an example.
To put everyone in a box and say they share these mentalities, because my mom's 66 and she could be a millennial because I think it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
How you think. I do think what Glenn Beck's doppelganger was saying, there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that.
Yeah, look, I think that there are two different.
Now, here's what I want to point out about what's getting ready to happen. So he puts his little assertion out there. He knows it's trash because he opened up his whole commentary with, I know I'm going to get destroyed in the comments. I don't care. We know you don't care. And that's why we can't stand you guys, because you don't care. Because maybe if you did care, we would all be in a different position right now. All of us would be in a different boat, but you don't care what anyone else thinks. And that's why you're so ignorant, because you refuse to learn anything new. But I'm so proud of Anna. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her, because he really tried to take it there and she took it right back. She refused to let him derail this conversation. I couldn't be more proud.
Things at play here, right? So first off, I do agree that and this is something that me and my best friend talk about often, because it's surprising to us, and we didn't treat our new jobs the same way I see other younger generations treat. So like, yeah, you come into a new work environment and the idea is, I'm new to this, I want to learn. And then once I learn and I have a little bit of expertise, that's when I could like really chime in with ideas and things like that. Yeah, you're right. There are people who come in and they come in guns blazing, and they're just like, no, I know better. You know, my friend is a licensed therapist. She has gone through graduate school. She's gone through, and that took a lot of experience in addition to her schooling.
And sacrifice.
And she'll literally have interns come in and tell her how she should do her job.
So here's the thing. If that is happening, guess who's causing that? It's going to be your boomer parents and your boomer grandparents. Because who is telling the kids, you be confident. You go in there, you make sure your hair looks good. You make sure you have on a suit and heels. You raise your voice, raise your chin, stand with your back straight, and you speak confidently about yourself. You speak confidently about your experiences, about your knowledge. You talk about your resume with enthusiasm. You show them how you can contribute to their organization and how you would be a valuable team member. Y'all filled these kids with all this chutzpah. Y'all did this. You did this. And the schools are doing it. The schools who have like the internship programs and the mentoring program, they're the ones who are telling these kids, if you just show up with confidence, competence, enthusiasm, positive attitude, these people will welcome you with open arms. They'll put you on projects. They'll be open to your input. You guys gas these kids up. You did this. It's unbelievable to me. So yeah, they do go in overconfident because they're also very naive about what they're walking into. They don't realize that a lot of these people aren't as sharp as, let me rephrase that. Corporate America is being marketed as this place where intellects can go and really use their minds to their maximum capacity. And that is simply no longer true. I don't know if it was ever true, but it's definitely not true now. And we have to stop lying to these kids. You have to stop, because then you have people like Green Shirt walking away going, well, that she was mighty upstart, wasn't she? Who does she think she is? She just graduated from college. Who she thinks she is exactly who you told her she is. So now she believes it. And then she gets into the workforce and is smacked down and doesn't understand why and is confused.
I get that perspective. But for the sake of this conversation, I think what really irritates younger generations is this idea that they have the exact same economic opportunities as generations before them. But things have really changed, you know, whether you're talking about the unaffordable prices of housing, the fact that wages have remained stagnant, the fact that, you know, people in the working class and middle class pay a higher percentage of their earnings toward taxes than the wealthiest people do. So those things are legitimate concerns that have created this wealth gap in the country. I
just saw a comment that I want to go ahead and respond to. It says, boomers will survive any crisis because they have a work ethic, family pride, and patriotism. So I haven't been paying attention to the comments. So I don't know the context behind you making that particular comment, but I'm just going to go ahead and respond to it just based on surface value. Let's talk about that. And I'm putting that up. So it says boomers will survive any crisis because they have a work ethic and family pride and patriotism. So the implication behind that comment, if I'm not misconstruing it, is that we don't. We don't have work ethic, we don't have family pride, and we don't have patriotism. So we're going to go ahead and discuss this right now. Work ethic. I will argue you all day long on work ethic. What you are seeing or what you might be experiencing is millennials getting sick of you guys, because millennials come in, a lot of them give 110%, and they're harassed, they're bullied. You all maintain narcissistic bosses in your companies and organizations who you know are destroying your company or destroying that department. You maintain them anyway because that's your buddy. You allow the disrespect to go on. You allow the discrimination to go on of all kinds, racial, gender, age discrimination, all of that. You allow discrimination to take place. So if people are sick of coming to your companies and coming to your organizations, if they've gotten tired of it and they don't want to be bothered anymore, you have yourself to thank for that, for what you've allowed to maintain and go on in our society forever. For the past couple of decades anyway, you guys are in charge right now, and look what you've done. Are you proud of your work? You shouldn't be. So if you think millennials don't want to work hard, maybe they just don't want to work for you. Do you understand? Maybe they want someone who has some good sense and some competence and some empathy and emotional intelligence to work for. They're tired of working for narcissistic psychopaths. So I'll debate you on work ethic all day. Family pride. Let's talk about family pride. Wow. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it, who had the highest divorce rates? Was it the boomers or was it the Xers, right? So if the millennials are struggling with family pride, maybe it's because a lot of their families fell apart and it broke their heart and they didn't know what to do. Maybe a lot of them are so traumatized by what they've been through with their particular family unit that they've decided that they can't or won't form their own because they're afraid of what's going to happen, okay? Maybe that. Maybe millennials don't have any family pride because they don't have any time to form a family because they're so busy working for you, because you won't give them any time off, because you give them 2 weeks a year to have for their own life. And the weekends, of course. Oh, thank you for the weekends. Because they have to negotiate with you for their time off and for their life. They have to negotiate with you, right? So they don't have any family pride because you won't let them work from home ever, to help them save on a commute, help them save on gas, help them get some free time to focus and actually think about your company, not theirs, your company. You won't allow them any of that. You want slaves. Just be real about it. Why don't you just be real about it? Just come clean. You liked slavery. You enjoyed it. You really benefited from it. And now you want it back. Just be real about that. The sooner you're real about that, maybe we can start making some progress. So the millennials can't form a family because they don't have any time or money to form a family because you refuse to give them raises. So they come in and they work hard for you. Then they have to go negotiate for a 75-cent raise. Get out of here. You got to stop. Meanwhile, their rent is going up. Property taxes might be going up. Everything else is going up, but you want to give them a 75-cent raise and pocket your profits. You're despicable. You're ridiculous. And finally, let's get on patriotism. Nobody is going to feel passionate about a country that treats them like they're not even citizens. Y'all are so worried about these immigrants, legal and illegal. I'm worried about the citizens who are being treated like they weren't even born here. Like, who can develop a patriotism about a country that they can't even afford to purchase land in? They can't even afford to buy a home because you guys have driven the prices of these homes through the roof. They will build multi-million-dollar houses out in the middle of the hood and have the nerve to charge $500,000 for them. So who's got everything backwards and twisted around? That's not patriotism. Fleecing your citizens is not patriotism. Milking them for every dime that they're worth is not patriotism. Treating them like they weren't even born here and like they don't even have some natural rights to the land and the country that they were born on is not patriotism. So you can miss me with this whole entire comment. Now, if this comment came in a different context and this is not how you meant it, I apologize. Moving on, let's continue with our video.
those legitimate concerns get brushed off by those who have taken advantage and exploited the system far too often.
Yeah, but well, no, and also for the sake of conversation, I agree with you 100% on that as well, because there are, I would say now more than ever, I keep saying younger millennials because they are younger. Gen Z, these are like kids, right?
Yeah.
But they have a unique ability to galvanize and mobilize when it comes to enacting change. Climate change. You mentioned college.
The march for the gun violence.
Absolutely. Stoneman Douglas.
March for change.
Yeah, it's so they are so aware because they have what old generations didn't have: social media, internet, access to a lot of resources that weren't readily available or easily available for older generations. And I'm not glazing over that at all. I just think that this conversation happens a lot, like, okay, boomer, because they're older. And I think that there is
No. It's not because they're older, because nobody was disrespecting the boomers like that. Nobody was. This just came out in like the past 2 weeks. Oh, because they're older, they don't know what they're talking about. No one ever said that. I think a lot of us looked up to the boomers. We had a lot of faith in the boomers. I think we believed in the boomers. And then as we got older, what was really happening started to become clear, right? We looked up to y'all. We wanted to be like you guys. We wanted to carry legacies for y'all. We really did. But the older we got and the more we started to understand the economy and society and how everything works and our position in it all, the more we realized that a lot of y'all are full of shit. We came to that conclusion. So it has nothing to do with age. We would actually really love for you to share some of your wisdom. But the only wisdom you ever have for us is get a job, work hard. You need to work harder. Okay, well, I'm working as hard as I can. There's only 24 hours in a day, and I do need at least 8 of those to like sleep. Is sleep okay? You can sleep when you're dead. Oh, okay. All right. I'll forego sleep then, and I'll just gradually wear my body down and wear my body out until I get sick and need health care. Oh God, I hope I'm working when I need health care, because otherwise I'm going to have to pay out of the wazoo just to stay alive. Like, can we just pause on that for a moment? We live in a society where you have to spend buku bucks just to stay alive. Literally. If you don't have health insurance, certain conditions can take you out if you don't get the treatment for them. And if you can't afford the treatment, you don't get to live. So for a society that's so pro-life, I'm really surprised that you're okay with people dying because they can't afford to sustain the life that you demanded be here. So the hypocrisy and the lack of cohesion in your thought process is why we can't stand you guys, and why we hate you, and why we're now saying, okay, boomer.
Element or maybe a tincture of arrogance, or like you said, I know better, even though I don't, that the younger generation doesn't want to shake off. But
the younger generation is arrogant and ignorant. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, boomer. So the younger generation is arrogant and ignorant. They're also young. So with youth, what is that thing called? What's it called, y'all? Not youthful pride. What is it? Hubris? I don't know. With youth comes pride, but I'm not excusing that. But what I'm saying is, wow, you think we're the arrogant, ignorant ones. That's absolutely incredible. This coming from the same person who really doesn't care what anyone has to say. He's going to say it anyway, even though it's not rooted in fact. That would come across as a little arrogant, kind of know-it-all to me. Someone comes to you and says, hey, it's really hard, for us to buy a house right now. And the only response you have for them is, well, you need to get a job and work harder. That's arrogant and that's ignorant, because you're not taking in all the facts of the situation and then coming to your final conclusion. You're just assuming based on their age that they're not working hard enough. You got to stop.
But who's not to say that won't happen in time the way it happened for us? Because in the 90s, when I was younger, I for sure thought, my pager was
he's an ex.
I knew better. And through experience, failing and realizing that, hey, life isn't the utopia that I thought I was living in, I've come to be more realistic. I think that generation will happen too.
Now, obviously, this is a talk show. He can't go into great detail, but he basically said he used to be real arrogant and ignorant, and then he had to fail a few times and realize life wasn't a utopia. It would be really helpful if you want people to understand where you're coming from. You have got to go into greater detail, because I want to know what he meant by that. So you thought life was a utopia, then you experienced a couple failures, then you realize it wasn't, and now you're lecturing young people. So I want to know what those failures were. I want to know what you thought by utopia. So when Green Shirt, when you say, I thought life was a utopia, what did you mean? Define what you thought of as utopia at the time. Then I want to know what failures you experienced. And the reason it's important to know these is because if the failures he experienced were systemic, then he's too ignorant to realize that the same things that happened to him are happening to us. And we refuse to take it. That's the only difference between these two generations. We refuse to tolerate it anymore. The buck stops now. The buck is going to stop regardless if anyone speaks up or not, because that's just math. Math is going to make the buck stop. But our generation is the ones who are finally putting their foot down and saying, we're not doing this with you guys anymore. We're not playing these games with you guys anymore. So that's why it's important to know what his failures were, because if they are related to the systemic issues that we are talking about now, dude, you're in the same boat as we are. You're just too dumb to realize it, too ignorant and sold on yourself to realize it. We can't stand these people.
My pleasure as well.
I just want adults to be honest with
Thank you.
today's youth, right?
Yeah.
So don't sell them the same nonsense our generation was sold. Like, look, I don't want anyone to pity us or pity me specifically, but this idea that if you work hard enough, you're one day going to become a multimillionaire or multi-billionaire it's just a lie, right?
Why is it? I'm not,
This is gonna be my point.
okay,
Yeah.
go for it. Sorry.
Did y'all see her face? Hold on. Look at her face.
Become a multi-millionaire
Watch.
or multi-billionaire it's just a lie, right?
Why is it? I'm not.
She's sick of him. She handled him beautifully, though. Anna, great job. You handled him beautifully. I don't even know if this is what they intended to do, but she handled him like a boss, because she said that becoming a millionaire and billionaire is not realistic. He's getting ready to retort that whole thing. And then she gives him this look like, come on, dude, be serious. Because if it were so realistic, Green Shirt, you'd be a millionaire, boo. You would be a millionaire. Now, I don't know you. I literally don't know who this guy is. He might be a millionaire. He could be, but I don't know. I assume that most millionaires may not be on YouTube recording a segment about OK Boomer. I feel like a lot of millionaires would have better things to do. That's just my assumption. He's getting ready to retort like, oh, why isn't it possible? This is the land of dreams and blah, blah, all that nonsense. Dude, like I explained earlier in this broadcast, for most people, we have to take the average route. And there will be some people who are able to excel, but most people, it's going to be one of three things: straight into the workforce, trade school, college, and military. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave military out, y'all. And military. And that's going to be our options. That's it. Yes, some people will build businesses that turn into multi-million-dollar corporations. But when you start moving into those higher levels of financials, you have to start dealing with the same people who are who are currently destroying the financial system. You get on a different playing field. So yes, anyone can become a millionaire, but if it were that easy, we would have way more millionaires. We'd have way more millionaires. The problem is most of us don't have a launch pad. The majority of us have nothing to launch off of. We're working in high school, we're working in college, we're working after college to get the money we need to survive, but we rarely have like a nice fat nest egg. If you want to give a high school graduate a good gift, give them some money, but put it in a format that maybe they can't touch for a few years, like 5 years, or something that they can't access right away. Give them a little bit that they can access, put the rest somewhere else. They need a nest egg. They need a launch pad. If you don't have a launch pad, you are going to be hard pressed to become a millionaire in this society. And I'm not saying it can't happen to you. All right. I mean, I think it's something we should all strive for, not necessarily the million, but strive for a comfortable financial situation always. Right. It's not easy when you're already behind the 8 ball. So if you start off in the red, you have to work so much harder to get in the black versus people who start off in the black. They just go from black to black. You are going from red to black, red to black, red to black, black, black. Back to the red, black, black. You see what I mean? It's a constant tug of war when you don't have that firm foundation. So I might have to stalk this guy later. I might have to figure out who he is and just stalk him and just get angry and leave mean comments.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it. Sorry.
Sorry, JR.
Sorry.
Like,
Because you're starting, you asked the question, I think I'm going to answer. So if you go to a car dealership and this guy sells you a busted car and you're like, hey, take this garbage back. I'm not paying the $25,000 for this. The millennials, Gen Zers, anybody been sold this American dream that was provided to a certain extent before for only certain people, because they had their problems with civil rights trying to get by, because only certain Americans also got this opportunity in American dream.
Correct.
To a degree that many of
And that's such an important point to remember always. Everyone in this country did not start off on the same foot. We're just going to skate over that and pretend like that didn't happen? We've had issues with race. We've had issues with gender. So we're going to pretend like everyone had an equal playing field to start off on. And like what happened in the past has not impacted what is happening today, and people having a challenging time getting ahead in this country based on past events. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen. Every day is new, right? That's very narcissistic. Every day is a new day, but it's the same day. It's the same new day every day. So the past doesn't exist to a narc. So a lot of times when y'all are breaking up with narcissists and they're confused, they don't understand that the reason you're breaking up with them is not because of the last thing that they did. It's because of the compilation of everything that they've done. But to a narc, their memory resets nightly. So the next day, it's a brand new day, but it's still the same day. So when you dump them and they're confused and you start going down this laundry list, they're like, oh, come on. That was 3 weeks ago. They don't get it.
these younger folks don't now.
I love this
So
B-roll.
if you suddenly see that your whole life since you were born, like you're an American, be proud, land of opportunity, home of the free, brave, do this, do things right, and you're gonna make it. Many people do things right and don't make it because there's many other factors that are a lot of times are pushed on us.
He said many people do things right and don't make it. I think that would be a really great retort anytime you find yourself in an argument with somebody with this mindset. A lot of people do things right and don't make it. And that's the sad reality that we're in. So all that we're really advocating for is for everyone to have a more fair shot at life. And the reason it's not fair is because certain individuals have control over the resources that people need. It's not like you can just go out to your river, fetch some water and bring it home. You can, but if you drink that water, you will probably die because it's got everything under the sun in it. It needs to be purified, cleaned, all of that. So, you know what I mean? You can't just go find a piece of land and declare it yours and build a house on it. No, you've got to get clearance from somebody. You've got to get a permit. You might have to purchase that land from someone in order to start building on it. You can't just go squat on it and start setting up shop. Let's assume that you could do that. Let's assume that any piece of land you find is officially yours. Well, okay, now, where are you going to get the wood to build your house? You're going to go chop some trees? Whose trees are they? Are they on someone else's property? Are they protected trees? Do you know how to chop down a 100-foot, 200-foot tree and hone it for wood? Where are you going to get your nails from? You're going to do the welding and you're going to work up some nails to put together. I mean, come on. My point is the resources we need to survive all belong to other people, and we have to negotiate for those other people with those resources using something called money. So when people don't have that, it makes them, I don't know, a little anxious for the future. And it's almost like, how dare you be anxious about your future, but you have to come to me for everything. Why would you ever be anxious? All you need is money, and I'll give you what you need.
By other folks, stronger factors, rich people, please. And people don't get to where they would have gotten. And then they say, stop complaining. You're like, listen, you sold me a lie, and now you want me to be happy with it. Because one of the big arguments from a lot of, the Gen Z X's, the boomers like to say, is that I worked hard, I didn't get any breaks, I broke my fingers, I got out of college, and then I did this hard job that almost killed me. Hey, so many friends maybe did get killed in those jobs, maybe got maimed in those jobs, and they didn't get where you got. They end up in wheelchairs and end up living off of their disability for the rest of their life, which wasn't much.
Exactly. Like, this is the conversation we need to have. These people are so arrogant and so ignorant and deeply narcissistic. They don't think about this type of stuff. What about the man who got up and let's say he was a welder, right? And was a good welder, hard worker, did great work. Boss loved him. Coworkers loved him. Customers loved him. Amazing. He was a great welder for 11 years. Then on year 12, something happened, maybe a machine break, something went wrong outside of his control. Even if it was in his control, it doesn't matter. Something went wrong and he gets hurt, badly hurt on the job, to the point where he can no longer weld. He can't do anything really. Maybe he's lucky to be alive. So now he lives at home and has to draw a disability check. So is he now no longer a worthy human being because he can't get out here and work as hard as you? He now no longer deserves the basics in life and nice things and, baseline humanity because he can't get up every day and work as hard as you, totally abuse yourself and your body and your spirit and soul and mind for a paycheck because he can't do that anymore. Now he's worthless. Now he's a leech. Now he's just milking the system. Really? Is that what it is? They fail to take into account these types of things. Sometimes it's not even that serious. Sometimes it's someone gets in a car accident. You see what I mean? And it completely affects their body and their ability to earn money in the way that they used to. So now maybe they can't go out and get another job and work as hard as they used to, or work as hard as you. That's ableism. So a lot of narcissists are very much ableist as well, meaning that they don't realize that everybody ain't able. They don't realize it. They have preferential treatment for, and they treat differently people who are able versus people who are not able. And then if they can't see your disability, you can forget it. If your disability is internal, but it still affects you in some way, but they can't see it, you can forget it. You'll never be believed. And they will work you just as hard as someone who doesn't have what you have because they can't see it, so they don't believe it. We have got to purge these people off of the planet, period. We have got to get rid of them. We've got to.
So we forget those people and we want less of that to happen. We want a little bit more equality, or that opportunity that you say we have in this country, at least give us that. There will always be lazy people.
Yeah.
You can give everybody an opportunity. There's always going to be a certain percentage of Americans that will be like, I don't feel like working, and they're not going to make it. That's up to them. At least give them that chance.
Right. Right. So narcissists are always playing to the lowest common denominator. Well, if we do that, then people are just going to take advantage of the system. Of course. There will always be, out of 100 people, you'll have 2 who might try to take advantage of the system. And what you do is design processes and procedures that eliminate those people. Oh my God, what a miracle. What a light bulb moment. Somebody write into Guinness. If you design a system that's designed to help people and people creep in and try to take advantage of it, you could outline and lay out some processes that will get rid of people who are trying to take advantage of it. Oh my God. That is just, that's life-changing, right? That's world-changing information, right? So instead of us just designing a system that would eliminate the bad apples, we just refuse to make it at all for the couple of bad apples that will slide in. So stupid. You have to at least give them a chance. Just like this guy said, you have to at least give them a chance. And if they blow it, let them blow it, and make sure the rules are very clear. And if they violate or mess up, well, you lost your opportunity. Sorry. Do better next time.
Get super specific on what irritates me the most, right? So if you got to take advantage of housing prices in Los Angeles, where homes were literally being sold for $60,000, you don't get to turn around and tell me, oh, you're buying too much avocado toast, that's why you can't afford a home.
Thank you. So ignorant, just so ignorant. Oh, the millennials can't buy a home because they're buying too much avocado toast. Get the F out of here. Get out of here. Like, stop it. Sometimes I pull house listings and just look around the city I'm in, and I'll see houses for like $325,000, $500,000, $600,000, and they are rundown shanties. Okay. But because of where they are, the price has been driven through the roof, and the house itself is going to need probably at least $100,000, $150,000 worth of renovations to even be livable. Y'all have got to stop. And it blows the mind that these cities would rather have these houses sitting empty, open, and unoccupied. When you've got buyers like me, you've got tons of buyers, very interested buyers, but we can't get into these homes because of the system that you have in place to lock us out. Then the same cities that complain about homelessness, if I was the federal government, like, I don't know what they already have set up to help with homelessness. I really don't. So this is just me purely speculating. But if I was the federal government, I wouldn't give any city any assistance that had a certain percentage of homes sitting unused and unoccupied. I don't care who owns them, owner occupied, bank owned. You need to reach out to the owners and say, listen, if you don't do something with this property, we'll pay you for it. Like, we'll buy it from you, but some people won't even sell their property because of different reasons. Maybe it's sentimental. Maybe they think it'll be worth a couple million one day. People have different reasons for holding on to their properties. But if I were the government and the city was asking the federal government for assistance for your homelessness crisis, I would take an inventory of all the empty, unwanted, unused homes in your city. And if you are over a certain percentage, it would have to be like a certain percentage and a certain length of time. So if the home has been sitting for a certain length of time, it's an eyesore, it's drawing pests, it keeps getting broken into and vandalized. And if a certain number of homes, threshold percentage, are sitting empty in your house, you get nothing from me. Nothing. Do something about that. Do something about it. Buy these homes from these people. Shake them out of their hands. I don't know. Y'all change and write new laws all the time. Figure it out. You figure it out. And you occupy these unused, unwanted homes. You renovate them. You bring them up to code. Occupy these homes. And then I'll talk about helping you with your homelessness crisis. But you all sit here and let thousands of homes sit unused, empty, unwanted, and then want some assistance with your homelessness crisis. Goodbye. See the secretary on the way out.
If you were able to go to college at a time in America where public colleges were free, or like $10 a semester, you don't get to turn around and wag your finger at students who have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, because they literally have no choice. They didn't have the same options that you had. So I think
exactly. And what blows the mind about that particular principle is that the boomers don't know that, because the boomers, by and large, are the ones who are paying for their kids' college or who paid for it. So when your kids sent you that tuition bill back in the early 2000s, you didn't go, oh my God. Like, you weren't taken aback. You weren't aghast. You weren't shocked. You weren't concerned when you started getting those tuition bills. Like, it didn't click. Like, man, when I went to school, it was $75 a semester. Now I have to pay them $2,500 a semester. And that's just for a basic state college. That's standard. So it's not, how do you not know this? I'll tell you how they don't know. They're so far disconnected from the system. Their bills have been so steady for so long, a lot of them. So like she mentioned, like if you bought a house in LA back in the 60s, your bills have been so good for so long, you don't know what anyone else is talking about. if your mortgage is $600 in LA and you're in a very nice location in LA, when you hear people complaining, you're not going to understand. But that's because you don't get that their mortgage is probably going to be $1,700 or $1,800 outright. And that's, I would imagine, pretty good for LA, actually. So
I think like those are legitimate concerns that far too often, like James Carville at Politicon was on a panel with Kyle Kalinske, and he thought the idea of canceling student loan debt was insane. I mean, the guy, and I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, except I kind of am, is like, I don't know, 100 years old, right? So.
And why are we taking our cues from these people? And listen, I respect my elders. I am big on elder respect, even when they don't deserve it. I still show respect to my elders, but at the same time, I know when to stop taking my cues from certain people. Like I recognize when this particular person no longer understands the full scope of the situation. So why are we even taking cues from this gentleman who's 100 years old? Like, not that he doesn't have anything valuable to offer, because everyone has something valuable to offer, especially older people, when they are willing to share the knowledge. When they're not willing to share the knowledge, you become borderline useless. But when you're willing to mentor and share the knowledge with the youth, you're incredibly useful every single day of your life until you check out of here. So, and then the fact that he thought canceling student loan debt was crazy. Well, of course you do. You've never had any. You never had any. Like, of course, you guys know I think it's brilliant. And I've already thought through it all. And I'm like, okay, because some people who might be for it might be like, but I paid my student loans off. That's not fair. Well, guess what? What were we talking about earlier? Designing processes, right? Guess what? If you paid off $50,000 in student loans before we canceled everybody's student loans, what do you guys think we're going to do? We're going to write you a refund check. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're going to cut you a refund check. Oh my God. Wow. Just show proof of payment. Oh my God. It's a miracle. People are so annoying, man. Like, I get really annoyed by humanity sometimes. I'm like, y'all are I don't even want to call them babies, and I don't want to call them children or toddlers anymore. Because I feel like that's insulting to babies, children, and toddlers. Because babies, children, and toddlers have an excuse. They are babies, they are children, and they are toddlers. That's why they behave that way. So I think it's really unfair, and I'm going to really try to watch myself from now on, because I've done this a lot in previous videos, but I'm going to try not to refer to them as babies, children, and toddlers, because that's very insulting to little people, because they're little, they're learning, they're trying to figure it out. So I got to come up with a better term to describe your behavior, because it's almost like, oh, you're going to pay off their student loans. I worked hard and I paid mine off. That's not fair. Listen, Mandy, we're just going to cut you a check for the amount you paid, okay? Oh, okay. Thank you. Now get out. All right.
He was going to school at a completely different time. Okay. Yeah. So for you to say, oh, it's ridiculous, you don't know what it's like to have to dig yourself in this giant financial hole just to get a decent education.
Well, he's mad because he had to do it. It's like, if you went to the hazing of a frat or
like she said, dig yourself into a giant financial hole just to get an education. Like, is that fair? Does that make any sense to you? To dig yourself into $100,000 financial hole that you can't get out of, can't even bankrupt it, just to get an education, just to get the job, just to get the money. We got to find a better way. This isn't working anymore.
Sports team or something, and the new rookies come in, you're going to go, I'm going to do the same thing to him that got done to me, because I'm not going to be the last one to take this whooping.
It's a chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, you're like, I went through this, so you have to go through this. You're not going to really get it. The last thing, I'm going to let you finish. I promise now. Yeah.
Right. I went through this, so you have to go through this or you won't really get it. Get what? What are you trying to teach me? Why do you feel like this is the best way to teach me? Don't you have another method? Or you just like punishment. Like, you just like the punishment aspect. You like the control aspect and the grind. And no, you're not allowed to have your youth. How dare you have and enjoy your youth? I didn't enjoy mine. So time for you to sacrifice yours. You know, that's where you'll get my respect. You sacrifice your youth like I sacrifice mine, and then I'll respect you. Get out of here. Nobody's doing that anymore.
This whooping, you know,
it's a chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, you're like, I went through this, so you have to go through it, or else you're not gonna really get it. The last thing, I'm gonna let you finish. I promise not.
Yeah.
There's the ageism thing, and I mentioned this earlier. This ageism is going both ways. So the younger folks will say, "Oh, you boomers, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't even work Twitter," right? And
That's true too. Very true.
And it's true also to older folks saying to the I can remember these folks now, millennials and Zers and everybody. They're saying to them, "Hey, you guys are exposing yourself too much on the internet. You might not really want to do that because we had this level of making sure you know what you put out there is going to stay forever." So there's this free-flowing nature from younger folks, and there's this cluelessness a lot of times from older folks. And ageism has its purpose. I think sometimes you can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And here's the thing. So when he was talking about like how young people will say, "Oh, you don't even know how to work Twitter." So again, I don't know everybody in the world, but I've never really heard anyone speaking down to or speaking down about their parents or grandparents not being able to work technology. What I have actually seen is young people being more than willing to teach their parents. And why? Because they wanted their parents and want their parents to experience and like participate in the life that we have right now, because it's cool. It's cool, you guys. Like, a lot of what's happening now is very, very cool. And not only cool, it can improve your life. Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. I've given both of my parents iPads for gifts at some point over the past couple of years, right? And I'm very proud of them. I taught them both how to use them. They both know how to use them, especially my mom. She picked it up the fastest. I'm super proud. But like, for example, we have FaceTime, right? So my parents want to see me. So I'll say, "Hey, Mom," and I know they want to see me in person, obviously, but because I live in a different city, that's not always realistic. So I'll say, "Hey, you can FaceTime me and you can see my face." And it's almost like a mental block / general refusal to learn it. It's a refusal. It's like a fear, a refusal, like, and maybe I need to develop some more compassion around that. Maybe it's just it's too much. Maybe it's too different. It's too far-fetched from what they remember. You know what I mean? I don't know what causes that, but my response to that is essentially what we see is resistance to the learning. It's not that they can't learn it, because keep in mind, they're the ones who propped it up. They're the ones who actually taught us how to use computers. Y'all remember Oregon Trail? That used to come on. Not come on. You could play it on like the old DOS computers. Yeah, you guys taught us how to use those. Y'all taught us how to type. You taught us how to use a mouse. You taught us what the internet was. You taught us. So now we want to pay you back and give you the gift of knowledge that has helped us so much. And all I've seen is generalized resistance and refusal to learn. Like, generalized refusal. I'm like, I feel like when I taught my mom how to use her iPad and we could text back and forth, our relationship improved like 100%. Not that it was bad, but our previous relationship consisted of one or the other had to call somebody on the phone. And sometimes phone conversations don't flow quite the same as they do when something's on my mind right now. I'm sending it to you right now. Something is happening right now. I'm sending it to you right now. Taking a picture of this, I'm sending it to you right now. It changes the dynamic. You know, we're able to have a different conversation because we communicate so much back and forth through iMessage. So we're trying to share the newness of our world, and y'all don't want it, and it actually kind of hurts our feelings. It hurts mine. It's like there's this big world and I want you to see it, and like I want you to be part of it, and I can teach you. Like I know how to do it, just like how you used to teach me. So let me teach you. And it's like, nope, all the nopes. Not interested. So that's what I've seen coming from the boomers. And that's just my personal experience and personal opinion. Let's finish this video out and get into our after show.
Yeah.
There's this middle ground you can
Right.
hit.
Thank you.
There's
Yes,
things
absolutely.
that each group does wrong, and everyone's so angry at each other. There's no.
I mean, there's no meaning in the middle. There's no meaning, and I see that a lot, and it becomes, you made a great point about the ageism, about how the older generation has this chip about how hard it was, and I love how you brought up, 30 years ago you could go get gas for 29 cents.
Mhm.
I do think that the younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, the younger Gen Zs, they are very resilient,
Yeah.
and that
Oh,
in a
thanks.
way. But JR, I'm glad you booked, because that's what I was going to say, is that there needs to be a conversation.
Yeah, we're resilient because we have no choice. It's resilience or die. Okay. So kind of like that comment I displayed earlier, the whole work hard. Oh, if I was in my mode tonight, I would be cursing, because we have to be resilient or we will die, period. Like there's nothing in between. We're talking food, gas. I've known many people who had to make a decision between food or gas. So pretty much like it was like a Thursday night. And if they bought food, then they wouldn't have enough money to get gas to get to work on Friday when they get paid. So they had to make a decision. Do I save this money to put gas in my car to get to Friday, or do I eat tonight? And they chose gas so they could get to the job, so they could get the paycheck. So don't come for me with this whole work hard thing, work ethic, work hard. I feel like I may not be done with this topic.
That allows for both parties to benefit each other, because no one's wrong here. I mean, I think no one's wrong. People may be misguided.
Misguided.
But no one's wrong. But I just find it interesting, though, how now more than ever I'm just seeing it with younger generations, the entitlement, and it just disgusts me.
It disgusts you? Does it disgust you? It disgusts us too, your approach and the way, and you see how he's like trying to force the conversation back to this. So Anna, she's going to rescue it again. And I have so much respect for her after this segment, but it's like he's determined to make this what it is. She just sat here and explained to you why these kids are the way that they are. And you're like, yeah, I get that. And I get that gas was 29 cents a gallon back in the day. But what I'm seeing is this entitlement. Like he's determined not to understand. And he's not even that old. I'm looking at this guy. He's not that old, y'all. He's not. He can't be older than like 42 or 43. Either that or he's just taking really good care of himself. He's not that old. He's an Xer. He's definitely not a boomer. And he's definitely not a millennial. He's an Xer. So, it kind of shows me where I've been like like I told you, I've bumped heads with boomers, I bumped heads with Xers, and I bump heads with all of these people when they display narcissistic characteristics. But this is why this is the attitude that I'm bumping up against. Like I'm trying to plead my case with you, and you're like, yeah, I hear all that, but listen, you just kind of sound entitled, and it's basically him saying, let's just go back to the way things are. Yeah, I hear all this new information and innovation and blah, 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 blah. I hear all that, but let's just go back to the way things are. I think they're just better for us to believe this instead of believing that. So I'm actually not going to take into consideration anything you said. I'm just going to kind of pull this back to where I feel comfortable with this being. And that's what they do. Because
it's so vicious. It's almost as if, and I'm a little envious of it, to tell you the truth.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's back that up. Let's just back it up, because I want to make sure you guys heard what he just said.
No one's wrong. People may be misguided.
Yeah.
But no one's wrong. But I just find it interesting, though, how now more than ever I'm just seeing it with younger generations, the entitlement, and it just disgusts me, because it's so vicious. It's almost as if, and I'm a little envious of it, to tell you the truth, because I wish I at the time you have brought up different elements that hold people back in life.
He said he's envious. Did y'all hear that? Ding, 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 ding. Sirens.
There's being LGBTQ plus, being a woman, being black, being not a non-white, a non-POC. Those things, and anything, right? So I envy a lot of the, I know we got to wrap, a lot of this younger generation who has that, can sit back and be like, oh, I'm getting mad. I'm absolutely, as a matter of fact, I need to check now before I even walk into the building.
No,
Stop. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. I don't know anybody like that. And again, I don't know everybody in the world, but I got my toes in a lot of different places. I've never met a single soul who's like, oh yeah, that job is mine. And they better cut me a check before I even get there because I'm that special. Yep, they better bow. No, nobody's doing that. Just stop, dude. And what kills me about this guy is it appears, I could be wrong, but I think he was saying that he's LGBTQ. Obviously, he's a black man. You know what I mean? So how do you not understand what everyone has been going through even now? Like, how do you not get that? If you are those two things, well, we know you're a black man, but I don't know for sure that he was saying he's LGBTQ or if he was just bringing that up. But if you are, how do you then not understand what we're saying? How do you not understand where we're coming from? How do you not get it? Like, I'm going to end up stalking this guy because I need to get more on his mindset, where he's getting this from.
Mentality exists.
Get him, Anna.
I totally hear you. I think that and I think that is a problem. I don't know what percentage of younger people act that way, but we've all experienced it. So I acknowledge that exists. Right. But I do think that we're kind of talking about two different things.
Yes, we are.
The frustration that I think overall young people in America have is just like the lack of opportunity and the lack of awareness regarding how those opportunities have been destroyed through this economic system.
And I get that.
Yeah.
Oh, she got him tonight. She said the lack of opportunity and the lack of awareness about how those opportunities have been destroyed. That is the problem. That's the problem. It's the twofold effect. It's the lack of opportunity and the lack of awareness about how those opportunities have been destroyed. Because if you never understand the how, you will never fix it. Never. You will never figure it out if you can't comprehend how something happened. And a lot of narcissists and a lot of ignorant people never want to put any thought on the how. It's always thought on the what. Well, this is what it is. Okay, well, how did it become what it is? Oh, it doesn't matter how it became that way. This is what it is. Well, how matters, because if we don't figure out how we got here, we'll never fix it and we'll keep coming back here because we don't know where we are. We don't even know how we got here. All right?
I understand what you're saying because
I can't stand him.
They're moving to the world with these experiences 100%. But my point I was making is just that I think in the context of OK Boomer and how they feel and how the baby boomer generation feels that this younger generation is completely remiss in everything, a conversation could hopefully stifle that and come to some kind of resolution that'll make everyone happy.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, he was so attitudinal towards the end. I don't know if y'all, I'm going to play it back. And if you pay attention, he actually got really mad and like frustrated and kind of rolled his eyes and like come to a solution that can make everyone happy. Like he's aggravated that she's not co-signing on this millennial bashing. You know, watch, pay attention. Let's run it back.
Baby boomer generation feels that this younger generation is completely remiss in everything. A conversation could hopefully stifle that and come to some kind of resolution that'll make everyone happy.
Thanks for watching me.
Yeah, now you got an attitude. Now you're mad because Anna wouldn't back down. Anna, good job, girl. I'm very pleased with your performance because we need more people like her who can maintain a level head and hit back without immediately spiraling out of control and just going off the deep end. And you know what I mean? We need people who can argue with focus. Because if you can't argue with focus, you're going to lose every time only because, you know what I mean? You're not getting your points out. And a narcissist is like arguing with a brick wall. So you have to be almost like the rope that climbs over the brick wall. And if not, you're just going to be standing on the ground, arguing with it, getting nowhere. You have to find a way to put a rope on the other side and climb over it. And that's what she just did to this guy. So bravo, Anna, bravo. So Ronald gave me authorization to get my curse on. Ronald, it was a combination. It was one of those that flows out naturally while I'm all by myself. I don't think y'all are ready for those yet. But, you got a couple $2 curse words tonight. So let's do this really quick, you guys. Let me just take a really quick break, like a commercial break. So I'm going to put this on. Why don't we throw some tunes? I'm going to play the same song from earlier because I actually really like it. And I will be back in about, give me like 5 minutes, okay? And we'll go into after show, all right? All righty. We have returned from our commercial break. Let me switch over into after show. Thanks for waiting with me. So what did you guys think about tonight's show? Hopefully the boomers don't feel too beat up on, but do understand that I can really only speak from my perspective, and that is of a 36-year-old born in 1982. So, well, hello there. Are you saying hello? Come here. Hi, baby. I do my best to try to expand my thinking and empathize with the other generations. And that's part of the reason I wanted to delay this conversation for so long, was because I wanted to make sure I was speaking from an educated place. But as I shared earlier, sometimes if you do that, you'll never do the video ever. So sometimes you just have to go. So I hope the boomers don't feel too beat up on what the whole purpose and intention of these conversations. Baby, what do you need? This cat is spoiled, rotten to the core. I wonder whose fault that is. Anyway, okay, now you're throwing off my train of thought. Ouch, ouch. She just jumped up on me, full claw. Owie. Mama. Oh my God. Girl, you didn't break the skin. You're lucky. Ouch, owie. I just got clawed live on the air. Anyway, did one of you boomers send that? Y'all sent that. You willed that to happen because you're mad at me, aren't you? Anyway, ouch, that actually really hurt. This cat has thrown off my whole thought process. Anyway, we're trying to open up the conversation so we don't want to keep doing this with you guys. And I'm sure you don't want to keep doing it with us. We would actually like to heal and reach some type of middle ground where, people can be reasonable with each other again. But unreasonableness begets unreasonableness. And it always will. So we have to find some common ground, but we never will until we're willing to start listening to each other. And my findings are that a lot of boomers are very hard to talk to. They don't want to listen to anything you have to say. So, this is the beginning of these conversations being started. I don't know who started the whole okay boomer thing, but shout out to you because you don't realize it, but you've inadvertently kickstarted a very, very important conversation. All right, so we are going to do a quick after show and then we will wrap this up and get out of here because it's almost 11 o'clock. All right, so let me just scroll as high up as I can get. Oh, y'all, my leg hurts so bad. I might need to put some rubbing alcohol on my leg. I think she did break the skin. I just can't see it. Oh. All right, give me 1 second. I just need to reply to this text. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh. I'm here. I'm just replying to a text. I'm sorry. Okay, so, whoops. Let me scroll up as high up as I can get. All right. I'm just going to pop comments up. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because y'all know me. Like, I try to avoid just putting your comments out there if you didn't ask for it. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, that's going to be hard to do moving forward. It's going to be very hard for me to filter comments and you know what I mean? So I have to make the assumption that if you posted it, you're okay with it. I have to make that assumption and just beg for forgiveness on the back end for future live streams. If you don't want me to read your comment during the after show, just go back and delete your comment. And there is a way to do that. There's 2 ways. I'm not going to show you how tonight, but just know that you can actually go to your YouTube settings page and delete your live comments. And you can also delete your comment directly from the chat thread. So you can type something, leave it up for 5 minutes if you want to, then go back and delete it if you don't want me to read them. But I think everyone assumes that if I post it in a public forum, it's being looked at publicly. So I think I kind of have to take that approach. Y'all just forgive me and we'll just try it. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something different. Life is easy. So here we go. Millennials, I know, work harder than anyone. I completely agree. And that's largely due to us not having a choice. But a lot of us work hard because we always planned on it. That was always the plan. And so once we graduated from college, we just started targeting the jobs that we wanted, applying for them, getting them. We all wanted, I believe in my heart, any millennials in the chat can correct me, but I personally believe in my heart that most millennials wanted the same things that their parents had. Most millennials wanted to find a company, come in at entry level, work hard, and just gradually move up that company over the course of like a 20 or 30-year period, retire in a nice position with a nice pension or whatever, 401k. And that was going to be that. Nobody likes job hopping. Nobody likes job hunting. Everybody hates interviewing. Who enjoys that? Nobody. So I truly believe in my heart that's what most millennials wanted. But what we discovered when we got in the workforce and into the workplace is that we weren't wanted. Our presence was not welcome. And in not being welcome, we also were not given the same opportunities that other people got. How many stories have you heard about people who came in, boomers, who came in at entry level, mopping floors, then they were running the cash register, then they were running the store, then they were running 2 stores, then they became the district manager. It used to happen all the time like that. Guys, that has not happened for a long time. It's no longer like that. They haven't really raised salaries kind of in general for like the past 10 years. So that logic no longer applies. So as soon as millennials realized the loyalty was not present, millennials withdrew their loyalty as well. And now we're being called job hoppers. We're not loyal. We have no work ethic. We don't want to work hard. No, we don't want to work hard for you. For you specifically. We'll work hard. We don't want to work hard for you. All right, let me see here. So I'm at the comments that were coming in around 10:43 p.m. I agree. It says Gen X is stuck between 2 of the most narcissistic generations, boomer and millennial. I agree, because if you will recall, oh, wait, I moved my screens around. Dang it. Here, let me just move them back. Let me move this over here and let's pull up the other one. Boom. Okay. And why don't we just, what's the problem here? Okay, then I'll just click back here. Boom. Okay, so now we got the chart back up. Let me move the comment so you can see it. So the comment is, Gen X is stuck between 2 of the most narcissistic generations, boomer and millennial. All right, so I'm just going to hide that. I was trying to make this big, but for whatever reason, it's not behaving like a web page anymore. It's behaving oddly. Anyway, so Gen X was born between 1965 and 1981. And that comment was saying that they're wedged between the boomers and the millennials. And if you'll notice, I don't know what this is for. Let's just see. I don't know what that's supposed to do. Can I move that? Just get out of here. The millennials are also known as the echo boomers. So in other words, the boomers, again, the boomers have returned, basically. And I said this in a previous live stream. I'm actually really surprised to see my generation behaving this way. So we'll get into that in a different live stream video. That'll be a very similar format. That'll come up in like a week or 2. But so the echo boomers, in other words, they're baby boomers, which is very frightening, because that means that instead of us moving forward when the millennials get older, we're just going to be rolling backwards. And I'm not sure how that happened. I really don't understand how that actually happened. Because I thought that we had better sense, but apparently not. So we'll get into that in another live stream. Let me see. Let me come back over here and put this up. Let's close this and see. Oh, there we go. Boom. So now I can leave this up a little longer. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is good. I have to show this. It says, as a boomer, I did hire many younger folks I thought were lazy. I know better now. I think they figured out the American dream is a scam. Exactly. And it's not only that, thank you for the comment. That's a good comment. It's not only that, it's also, you have to understand that by the time young people make their way to you, be that 18, 19 years old, they're already worn out by the school system. So they've already, all that work energy and vitality that you want from them, they've given to meaningless tests and exams and quizzes and worksheets and school projects that really mean absolutely nothing and are contributing zero to their education. So by the time they get out of school, they're so over it already that by the time they get on your job, if you don't give them a strong purpose and direction on day one, they are going to appear listless and like they're wandering lost souls, because they are wandering lost souls. A lot of them didn't get a very good education, partially due to their own part, partially their own fault, partially their parents' fault, largely the fault of the school system. So they're undereducated, they're undermotivated. And like you said, they figured out the American dream is a scam. So now they don't know what to do with themselves. So yeah, great comment. Let's see. This one says, poor generation Y. I agree. You know why I feel sorry for Y? So Y, I guess, would be what they call iGen on the chart. I feel sorry for Y because they have no point of reference of the past. So at least the millennials, the 1982 to 2000, probably not the 2000s so much, but I would say 1982 to probably 1992. We have memories of the past. So we remember. So a lot of the things that we do or don't do, or a lot of things like, even for example, that computers do or don't do, we remember the why because we were there when it first came out. The new generation has no point of reference. Oh, perfect example. I got the perfect example for you. And apologies, y'all. I'm about to turn my heater on because it's really cold. And I left it off so there was no background noise, but I'm kind of freezing. If the noise is too bad, let me know and I'll turn it off. Okay. They have no point of reference. So I saw an article the other day that said that millennials are some of the easiest people in the world to scam. And I was shocked by that information. So I read the article and help me, I can't remember what the reason was, but I was thinking about it and I was like, probably because a lot of the later millennials, and especially after the millennials, don't remember when the internet was coming about. So you don't remember all the scammers. You don't remember all the Nigerian princes with an inheritance that they need to send to the United States. You don't remember that. You don't remember the original scammers. So we do, though. So we can, at least the earlier part, can spot a scam immediately because we remember like how it goes and like how it flows. And we remember AOL. The other generation only remembers Gmail. Do you see? So they might struggle to recognize something. Did I say older generation? I meant to say younger generation. The younger generation only recognizes Gmail. So how could they know, especially if you're born like today, how would you ever even process the concept of a scammer if all you've ever known is Gmail? It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say, but it's almost like why would you even think somebody would try to scam you on the internet? Do you see what I mean? Versus when the internet first came out, that was huge because it's like, oh man, all these strangers that we don't know. Let's be careful because these people are strangers. We don't know them. So there's a built-in level of caution, whereas generations that were born later don't have that same caution level because they weren't there to see it start. Okay. So yeah, I feel sorry for Generation Y also for many reasons. This one says, it's just harder for everyone to get a decent entry-level job. Yes, it is. And part of the reason it's so hard is because so many companies want you to come with experience, which I've never fully understood. So they're hiring for a particular role. They want you to show up with like 5 years worth of experience, but you just got out of college. So where's the experience going to come from? One. 2, why are you comfortable relying on someone else's training program? Excuse me. Why are you comfortable relying on someone else's training program? If I'm a business owner and I'm running a very specific type of business, yeah, it would be really cool if you've been exposed to this information before, but I don't trust their training program. They might be idiots. You might have been trained by idiots. So now you're bringing that idiotic training over into my organization? No. You can bring with you whatever you have, but I'm going to train you because I want to make sure that you've been trained properly. You see what I mean? So there's that. And then third, I find it very interesting how you'll get pinged for job hopping, right? But they have no problem asking for you to have 5 years of experience. So if I have 5 years of experience, I got that experience somewhere, right? So why are you okay with me leaving this other company and leaving them at a deficit and joining your company? That's kind of shady, isn't it? That's kind of like stealing someone's girlfriend or boyfriend behind their back, isn't it? But you don't care. So there's no penalty for you poaching employees from other companies. You want them to have all this experience that they got from somewhere. But then if you look on a resume and someone has had 3 different jobs, you're asking them about it. Can you tell me about why you left this job? Can you tell me? I want to say, why did you leave your job, Margaret? Huh? Why did you leave yours? I left mine for the same reason. Let's move on. Like, stop. It's childish. Oh, well, I said I'm not going to do that. It's narcissistic. There we go. It's narcissistic to sit here and critique why I left a job when you know full well why I left this job, Margaret. You know that. Let's not sit here and pretend and play make-believe with one another. Margaret, you know why I left this job. Let's move on. Let's talk about the skills required and see if I have those or not. Yeah, I couldn't stand his tone or attitude either. It's very condescending. I assume you're talking about green shirt. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are ever wondering, if you're new to the streams, if you wonder why I don't go to the top of the comments, it's because I can't. The streamers cut the comments off, I guess, at a certain either count or time. I'm not sure. So I'm actually not able to go to the top of the comments until after the show uploads to YouTube. But then I'm not on air anymore, so I can't address them. So apologies to the early commenters. Your comments always get cut off, but I do see them later when I watch it back. Let's see. I love this. It says, maybe there are no opportunities nor awareness when the rules are made to benefit the one who made them. Right. So I'm not going to explain to you how all this works, because then you'll understand it and then you'll be able to get like me. And I don't want you to get like me. I want you to stay where you are. So there's a separation between us always. Hot air from green shirt. Absolutely. That's why I have to go stalk him later, because I need to figure out where this is coming from, because he's not that much older than me. So why, like, y'all kill me with that. You'll be 41 years old. Like, oh, the youth. Shut up. You are the youth. Are you kidding me? Oh, these young people today. You're 41 years old. You're one of the young people today. Get out of here. You can't really start up with that hot air until you hit 80, because now you've actually accomplished something. Okay, hit 80 and then you can start huffing and puffing about the youth that you contribute to and that you developed and birthed. We're 41. All these young people. You are one of the young people, you numbnuts. All right, let's keep going. Right. You need to do 1 million job interviews to be a ticket taker at a museum. The job market sucks. Exactly. Once again, if I was in charge of this whole shebang, I would shut all of this shit down. I would be like, listen, all these long drawn out interview processes for ticket takers and data entry and customer, you're going to stop that. You're going to stop it right now. You're going to run a background check, because I think that's reasonable. I think most drug tests need to be done away with unless you are doing something that puts life and limb at risk. So if you're working heavy cranes and heavy machinery, if you're flying airplanes, if you're a surgeon, if you, anything that is a safety related issue, I could see drug testing. But the thing with drug testing is you'd have to drug test every day. If you don't drug test every day, there's no point in doing it. So you either drug test every day or you don't drug test at all. Because what good is it to drug test somebody to get a job and then they go do drugs as soon as they're hired and you never test them again? So you've completely defeated your purpose. So you either don't drug test at all or you test every day. And if you're testing every day, it needs to be for something like a pilot or a school. I don't know school bus driver because those kids are bad. And they might need they might need a little something to take the edge off at the end of the day. I'm just joking, guys, but you get my point. I'm throwing out drug testing. I'll leave background checks only because to me, they do kind of make sense. And other than that, if your job, first of all, also you need to know exactly what this role is supposed to be doing. None of these fluffy corporate speak, drive metrics and performance measures by implementing processes across a global level of intricate departments and subsidiaries. Shut up. You email people all day. So stop with all this. So we're throwing out all these ridiculous job descriptions. And if a person is able-bodied, has a clear background, a willingness to learn, you need to hire them. And if we review your files and you've interviewed 300 people and you still haven't hired anyone, there's going to be some consequences and fallout for that. We've got too many unemployed people in the city. Stop with the nonsense. All right. Get off your ego trip and your little high horse where you think you hold people's lives in the palm of your hand, which you do. We might start taking some of that power away from you. And then, if we just start hiring anybody, then our company is going to collapse. No, you design policies that get the bad apples out and you move on. I'm tired of this. It's immature. I'm tired. Let's see. Amen. It says, forget the details. You are right. Nobody wants to work for these narc corporations, boomers, no matter what their age. We shouldn't have to work to live and pay to die, and pay to be born. Exactly. And it's like when you really process that as someone who doesn't have children, it's like I think to myself, do I want to put my children through this? The only way first of all, I'd have to actually have somebody in my life who I would be comfortable being their father, so if anything happens to me, I could always be like, well, at least they have their dad and I have full confidence and faith in their father will take good care of them. So that's step one, but let's just assume that was the case, right? Let's assume a man, assume he's a good man, assume I would trust him, right? My next thought is, unless myself and this man are financially stable now and for the foreseeable future, I don't see myself being able to put a child through this. It's been hell. It's been rough, man. It's been a rough road. And I don't recall my parents or their parents or any of my parents' peers talking about how hard this age range was for them. So how hard it was for I'll say 18 to 40. I'm gonna make that a cohort. So from 18 to 40, I don't hear those complaints coming from them, or I never did. The only thing I would hear would be like, "Ooh, traffic is intense. That traffic. Occasionally they might have a boss, but guess what? Their boss was just annoying. From what they used to describe, their boss was not narcissistic. Their boss was just irritating. Like, my boss is getting on my nerves, talking all that trash, but whatever, he'll be fine. And they would be fine. The boss would be fine. They would be fine. Everyone would be fine. Now, it's gone beyond your boss getting on your nerves to your boss is actually trying to take you out. Not literally, but in the hypothetical sense. They're trying to snipe you. So we're fighting for our lives out here every day. We're fighting for our livelihoods out here every day. I don't remember the boomers going through that. The boomers all had comfortable jobs. Some of them were unionized. Some of them were not. I'm actually very pro-union for these reasons. But at any rate, all the boomers really had to do was just show up and stack up on their pension and retirement, and they were good. And trust me, I know unions have their downsides, so I don't want to get into a debate about unions. But my point is, most of them were comfortable and set, and a lot of them are still in place. Go to any post office in the United States of America, and you'll see somebody there who got that job 30 years ago and never gave it up. Never. And they don't have to. They're totally protected, totally safe. They will retire comfortably, and they probably lecture their children every day about going to work and getting a good job. Yes, millennials learn to make money the non-conformity way. I'm going to put this stream so you can see better. Millennials learn to make money the non-conformity way. Exactly. We found creative other avenues, so I know companies like Uber and Facebook and Amazon get in trouble. I recognize that Bezos is not a millennial, whatever. I don't know the age of the Uber CEO. And I know that these companies have done a lot of unscrupulous things and a lot of shady things that have gotten them into trouble in recent years. I get that. And I'm not condoning any of that. But what I do condone is the disruption. I condone that disruption. I condone looking at a current situation, saying, oh, we can do this better. We can be better than this. Trying it, having it work, and then making a killing off of it. I condone that. I want to see that happen more often. I want to see all kinds of industries disrupted to the point where they can't survive anymore. And that sounds cruel, right? But is it cruel when these same industries are the ones preventing people from just living standard lives? We're not talking about high lives. We're talking about standard life here. When these same companies are preventing people from living standard lives, I care not if someone comes along and disrupts you and puts you out of business, because your intent was to keep us back so you could continue to live. So you want me to die so you can live. I'm not okay with that. I'm really not. All right, let's scroll. Exactly. Look at the rules. Damn near illegal to go outside, do work, and make money on the fly. Exactly. So, yes, there's a lot of opportunity in this country if you show up with no backstory. So if you come here with no connection to the place, no backstory, then yeah, you probably can plug right in and take off. You don't have any debt. You don't have any family here that you have to take care of. You're not already locked into the system. So yeah, you can come plug and chug if you come from somewhere else. It should be easy for you. You haven't been part of this. But those of us who were born into it are essentially trapped from the day that we're born. So it becomes very difficult to navigate around the system you were born into. And this comment is kind of illustrating that. Like, yeah, go outside and try to make money without any kind of permit or license or whatever. They're going to come after you eventually. All right. I thought that until I realized that the millennials are indeed echo boomers. So if we don't get a hold of the millennials now, we will see this whole boomer situation arise again. We will. And it's just so pathetic. I'm so disappointed in my generation. So disappointed. Let's see. Oh, that's good. I like that. It says, I changed careers and went to school with millennials. They are just fantastic. They treated me like their favorite aunt. I love that. I really do. Like, y'all have to understand how much we looked up to the boomers. Like, we just wanted to be accepted. We wanted to be liked. We wanted to be mentored and guided because we knew that eventually there would be a change of the guard. Right now, the boomers are the guard, but with each passing day, there's a change of the guard coming. So it's kind of like we just thought we were doing what we were supposed to do. And it was almost like, we hate you so much. And it's like, why do you hate us? What did we do to you? What did we do to you? Most of us aren't even old enough to have done anything to you. The millennials were born between 1982 and 2000. So the youngest millennial is 19. The oldest is 36 or 37. What did we do to you? We don't have anything. We don't have anything. So what did we do to you? I don't get it. I'm not co-signing on this bunch of shit spewing from his mouth hole either. I'm a 41-year-old mother of 5 grown kids, and they all have more common sense, empathy, and work ethic than most boomers. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for instilling that in them. Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, okay. I don't think that condescending grown boy has ever gone hungry, not one day in his life. And he looks very well moisturized. So he's fine. Like, he's very well taken care of. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, 100%. 100%. Brown noser, ass kisser, like the epitome of it. Like, he would be my manager and take such great pleasure in like trying to control me for no reason. I don't mind being controlled when it's for a reason. I believe in rules. I've shared that with y'all many times. You can control me if there's for a good reason for it. But he's the type who'll just control you for no reason, just trying to flex his power and authority, then run back to his boomer boss and like talk trash about you, and then drag you into a one-on-one meeting to discuss your attitude or lack thereof. Yeah, 100%. I know his type very well. Let's see. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Scarecrow says, I'm getting a tequila shot for myself. This was great. I promise y'all one day I'm going to do that with y'all. I'm a very much a lightweight, but 1 or 2 shots I'm going to take with you guys one day, and we're going to do a live stream and see how that goes. Let's see. I don't know if it'll be better or worse. I really wouldn't be able to tell you if me taking shots would make me better or put me in rarer form. I think it might put me in rarer form, which would probably get me in trouble. So let's see here. Yes, I agree with you. It says the art of the argument is a skill not a lot of people have. Exactly. If you can become skilled in argument, oh man, you'll start to have a lot of fun is what will happen. You'll move from a place of stress to a place where you begin to have a lot of fun with people. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Let's see. Yes, his tone was very annoyed and dismissive. And it makes, when people get annoyed like that, it's usually because they're fighting for something, right? Like, you're not understanding what I'm trying to say to you. Oh, why don't you just get it? And my question is, what is he fighting for? So everyone who holds this mentality regarding the millennials, what is your end game? Because the millennials know exactly what they're fighting for. What are you fighting for, boomers? What are you fighting for? The millennials are fighting for fairness, for a shot, for equality, for a chance. What are you fighting for? What benefit would he have had to winning that argument? So let's say he won the argument with Anna and convinced her that millennials are indeed entitled. Now what? Now what? What do you win by that? Like, where does that put us? Does that move us forward? Like, what is the end game here? I don't get it. But I do know that the end game for a lot of these boomers is going to be them in a nursing home with no visits. None. No visits. Because this is the way you treat us. Right here. Okay? So be nice to the generation that's going to have to take care of you in a few years. And it may not even be your kids. It's just the generation that will be the healthcare providers at the time when you're very old. You might want to rethink your position. Let's see. I like the way you said this. Well-fed, willful. I can't say it. Dang it. Well-fed, willful ignorance. Exactly. Exactly. Willful ignorance. No, we can't go back to the old ways. Life has indeed changed. Let's see. He has all the avocado toast he can dream of. Mm-hmm. Exactly. The thing is to lift people up who need it. That's the whole, like, we have totally lost our humanity. And one thing that annoys me uniquely about America is we claim to be a Christian nation, right? In God we trust. We make that proclamation. But Jesus and the Bible and everything else talk so much about helping out people who need help, who are poor, the indigent, sick and shut in, helping your neighbor, helping your brother who's fallen on hard times. This is not the way that we're supposed to be. You can't think that just because you're healthy now and you have a good job now and you quote unquote did everything you were supposed to do and did it the right way, which is really one very narrow pathway, but you traveled your narrow pathway and you traveled it well. You can't assume that your life will stay like that indefinitely. You can't assume your life will be like that. You don't know what's going to happen to you that might put you in a position where you need help. What if you're one of those people who did all the right things, right? Oh, you did everything right. Like, you're very self-righteous because you actually did everything right, everything to the letter, right? So you can talk because you did it, right? And you buy a lovely home, right? In a lovely state, lovely city, lovely state for you and your family, right? Then a natural disaster comes along and wipes you out. And maybe it's one that never comes that way, ever. It was just a fluke. And that fluke destroys your whole entire home. Now you're finding yourself having to rebuild. Now you're pulling on healthy savings accounts that have been healthy forever because you never had a major life emergency. Now you're scrambling. Now you have nowhere to work because your workplace got destroyed along with the storm. So now you have no work, you have no job, you have no income, you have no house, you're cutting into your savings. Oh, of course, insurance is there. But insurance can't make a new house appear overnight. It can make it appear in a couple of months, but not overnight. Now your whole life has been thrown into a tailspin, Mr. or Mrs. Righteous. And now you need help. Look at that. And you are hoping that somebody will be there to help you in your time of need. And that's what it's about. It's not about the leeches. We know leeches. We're not talking about the leeches. We're talking about your average person who's willing to work, who falls on a tough time. They shouldn't be considered the scum of the earth because they fell on a tough time. Nobody is going to be able to do this with perfection unless you're one of the con artist criminals running the system and designing the laws to protect yourself. That's the only way you're going to do it without falling. And even then, life in the universe and God has a funny way of finding the breach and breaching it and showing you that even you can't do this perfectly. So you got to come off that high horse. This American, arrogant, ethnocentric attitude, self-righteous, very narcissistic, obnoxious, and stuck up is what we are as a society. And it's only until you get smacked down really hard that you realize, oh, wait, the only reason I was able to do this so well is because all of my plates were spinning at the same time. But as soon as one plate fell and I ran to go fix that plate, now the other plate started falling, and that can happen to anybody. Now maybe we can build some empathy into you. I have a video called Narcissistic Fence Walkers, all about people who are only narcissists because they haven't had the experience in life yet to make them not narcs, right? So the green shirt guy we were just watching, he said he used to have utopian ideals. Then I forgot what he said, mistakes or something happened, problems, I don't remember. And then he let go of those utopian ideals. But the thing about it is, with people like him, instead of them developing empathy for the people who are going through something similar to him, he just chalks it up to, well, that's just the way that it is. And that's just the way it has to be. Happened to me, so it has to happen to you. It happened to me, so it absolutely must happen to you because that's just the way that life is. Okay. And so that he doesn't develop empathy or a desire to change it. He simply passes it on to the next generation. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm building a commune of tiny houses for my family and friends when we are old. Good. I love it. I would love to come visit. Let me come visit the compound. All right. Let's see. Says, I wonder if Green Shirt was assigned to play devil's advocate for this segment. I hope so. God, I hope so. I really hope that's not how he really feels. And I wonder how big the check was that he took to position himself like that, because it's such, he called us disgusting. That is such a disgusting way to position himself. That's why I'm going to stalk him later to see if this is his like everyday thing or if it really was just for that segment. I'll let you all know the results of my stalking. Let's see. I know, right? My cat must be a boomer. She sure scratched me. She didn't mean to. She was trying to hop into my lap, but she lost her grip. So she basically used my leg to catch her fall. And it really, 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 really hurt. Okay. It looks like I might have reached the end of our comments. Ooh, I'm gonna show this one really quick. They don't see they are the storm for future generations. What they call entitlement is the expectation of young people to be helped in dark times. Exactly. Oh God, some of y'all's comments are so brilliant that I hope you're somewhere writing them down, putting them out there, because like this type of stuff needs to be seen. Oh man, that's deep. They are the storm. And what you're calling entitlement, I'm going to close on this. This is a good one to close on. What they're calling entitlement is actually the expectation of young people to be helped in dark times. That's all that it is. We're not asking for much. We don't want to just be handed $1 million and have servants and handmaidens waiting on us hand and foot, you know, while we get our feet massaged and our hair washed. That's not what we want. Most of us want to earn our keep and feel some pride in that. Like, we just want to know that when we fall short, as all people do, somebody will be there to catch us and we won't hit the ground. Like, so many people are hitting the ground right now. Like literally, like hitting the ground, and they can't bounce back. That's why so many people are strung out on drugs more than ever before. Record numbers. Like, we're hitting the ground and we don't have anywhere soft to fall. It's not about making people lazy and dependent. It's about plugging the gaps when gaps show up. That's it. That's all we're really asking for, because it benefits nobody for your society to fall into poverty. It benefits no one. And even people who think, oh yeah, well, that's what the government wants, so we'll be totally dependent and blah, blah, blah. Even that fails after a while, guys. Even if they got it to where we were all 100% dependent on them for everything, there will eventually be an uprising. Because do you think in them taking care of us 100%, they're going to do it well? No, they're not going to do it well. They're going to do it at as low of a cost as they possibly can. And not because they have to, because they want to, because they want to keep the extra. So they're going to take care of us in a crappy way. They're not going to be very good parents. And you can only take shitty care of your children, but for so long before they rebel against you. So it wouldn't work, is my point. So, and that's an overcorrected argument anyway, and you know that. My point is, we're asking to, number one, have a fair shot to begin with. But number two, even when our best efforts fail, we don't want to hit the ground when we fall. We want a soft place to fall. That's it, until we can rebuild and prop ourselves back up. And that's pretty much it. So you guys, I had a great time tonight. I think this was a really good conversation. I appreciate all your comments and your engagement. I'm going to go ahead and shut the live stream down, but I will leave the comments active for about 5 minutes. I'll play our closing music too. Thank you again to Ronald Griffin for the song. You can find that song linked in the description box. Please check out his channel and show him some support. But that's going to conclude our live stream tonight. I'll talk to you guys again in a few days with either the millennial video, or we'll pick up on chapters 4 and 5 of our corporate cults review. I think in the context of this conversation, that would be a really good book for you to pick up and read along, because it definitely fits into the conversation overall. So those are my thoughts. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I hope you all are doing very well. Take care, and I'll close the chat down in about 5 minutes. Thanks, you guys.